Every little boy has two core needs. He has two basic questions. He's asking his father. And the questions are, do you love me? And do I have what it takes? And the way those questions got answered in your youth has shaped you into the man that you are today. You need a battle to fight. You need a mission to your life. You need something that's worth giving yourself for. And then kind of the little the tap root of that is because every man has a warrior heart. You're made to be a warrior. You're made to fight for things. Howard Thurman's famous line is, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs are men who have come alive.
Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness. As a man, what does it mean to reclaim your soul? Today we are with Wild Heart author John Eldredge, and we are going to explore the deep desires at the core of every man's soul. Fighting a battle, living an adventure, and pursuing your beauty. Yes, we got lots to unpack here. John Eldredge, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, guys, what an honor.
We're excited, very excited.
Honor, yeah. And of course, I got to go by Commander John McCaskill today because I got two Johns on the show. So I might, so now we got like a little bit more respect for John with the Commander title on top. So great to have everybody here. And hey, anything like we're gonna you can look at the show notes for John Eldredge's work out there that he's doing. We're gonna talk about an app that he has which is really wonderful called Pause. Everything Men Talking Mindfulness, head to mentalkingmindfulness.com. And we have our meditation course coming up on April 27th. So John, one breath grounding practice, or say hello. What do you need?
Well, other John, great to see you. So excited to have you here. Love your book, Wild at Heart. And I know you have many others that we need to get into. We'll start with this grounding practice, just one breath, simple. And yes, definitely want to talk about the Pause app here.
Yeah,
in a
for
little
sure.
bit. So for the three of us here and for our listeners and viewers, if you would just get comfortable. And whatever that looks like and feels like for you. And if that includes closing your eyes, if that's available to you, I invite you to do so. And just bring your attention to your breath to start. And let's begin with a nice, easy exhale, letting it all go. Bringing your navel to your spine and holding empty. And now a nice, deep, slow breath in, holding at the top and letting it go. Nice and easy. Letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. All right. Nice breath. Well done, all. And now let's open your eyes and get into this. This is so exciting. Again, I think John, both of us are a little nervous to have you here. so we're gonna have
a little rock star.
You know what I mean? This is an adventure for us. We're actually just defining what the word adventure means, and it means something hazardous or something exciting.
Taking a risk.
Yeah, taking a risk. And here we are. This is going to be an adventure. Just having you on the conversation. So
cool.
Hey, John, we'll jump right in. So, if a man, for some reason, if they only listen to 5 minutes of this show, or rather, let me flip this. If they listened all the way through, what do you hope one thing that he walks away with?
That the care and restoration of your masculine soul is actually your primary task. Because everyone else in your world is waiting on it. If you're a dad, your kids need that. If you're starting a company, it needs that, right? If you're coaching a team, it needs that. You cannot neglect the life of the heart. You can't neglect it and not wind up in depression or addiction.
I love that because I'm very task oriented. It's a matter of like I have my task list and I check it off. And sometimes I'll do something that's not on my task list and I'll actually go back to my task list, write it down just to check it off because I get that little dopamine hit. But I've never written that as my primary task. And I think I need to write that at the top of every day's to-do list. I love that. So, all right, great. Will.
No, I know. I mean, what an excellent definition. Like it's, I was going to close the show with that one comment. It's amazing. But I think what'd be important for us to know is like, so I mentioned at the beginning, like, what we have these deep desires. And one thing I loved about the book was just like how you really speak of the heart, right? Wild at heart. And, we have these three core things that we need in order to really fully embody the masculine that you're talking about. Right. So, break down for us, please, and why they're important, like, a battle to fight, an adventure to live, and a beauty to rescue. And so why are these three things so important to us?
Yeah, let me tell you how I got there. So I was a young therapist. I was seeing a lot of male clients. I was also raising three sons at the same time. So we're living out a little micro experiment right there in our house. But I was doing a lot of workshops and not just in the US, but abroad. And what blew me away was no matter the struggle, no matter the particular crisis or addiction or whatever, like the core issues for men are the same. And we can get into that today because I think it's going to be really important for guys' healing journeys. But there is a deep desire, like even guys, even honestly, like in the drug prisons in Medellin and in the Amazon rainforest, this content has proven true across
Mm,
culture and across time.
wow.
That a man needs a battle to fight. He
Yeah.
needs something that his life is about,
Mm,
that's larger than the comfort culture, right? Because the comfort
mhm.
culture just says, to be personally happy is the end game, like that. And that is a really small story, right? Your personal happiness is a really small story, a same day delivery. So what? You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
you need a battle to fight. You need a mission to your life. You need something that's worth giving yourself for. And then kind of the little the tap root of that is because every man has a warrior heart. You're made to be a warrior. You're made to fight for things. And you're going to have to fight for a marriage. If you're married, you're going to have to fight for your career. If you're going to go to grad school, you are going to have to fight for that big time. If you want male friendships, you're going to have to fight for that. And so the cultivation of the warrior heart, you just see it. Why does that little boy want to be Spider-Man?
Yeah. Great
Why does that
question.
little guy, like, I see him in the grocery store and his mom couldn't get him to take his Spider-Man pajamas off, He's like, no, 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 I'm not playing. This is an identity.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So battle to fight gives the warrior heart a place to go. And it's all about the development of it, right? You're not instantly crushing it in your battle to fight, right? But it's the process of the training and the honing and the development of the warrior heart in men. And we've been told that that's wrong. We've been told, don't be a warrior. That masculine force, masculine aggression is altogether bad, right? We've just written it off. And you go, really? Really? So those guys that ran up the stairs in the trade center when everybody else was running down, you don't want men to do that? Well, if you want men to act like that, you want them to act selfless and courageous, you have to train that. It doesn't just happen overnight. And it doesn't happen because you get a driver's license or you're a drinking age.
What about for those? Actually, I may have cut you off because I know we still had the beauty to rescue.
Well, we got
And the
time to
adventure.
unpack this
Okay.
stuff, so I
Yeah.
didn't want to just blow through it.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean,
Well,
okay, great point. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
So
that.
okay, let's go to the warrior with the
Yeah.
battle to fight, and then come back to the other ones. What about the men who are out there who don't feel like warriors? They feel maybe meek. They feel maybe scared, and they would never, if you were to ask them, they would never define themselves as warriors in a physical way, in an emotional way, in a spiritual way. What do you say to them?
Yeah, that's a very important question because not every guy wants to watch, 300 or Braveheart or Fight Club or whatever,
Die
right?
Hard.
Yeah,
All my favorites.
yeah.
Same.
So Okay, so let's back up to the little boy for a minute and the development of the masculine soul in the little boy. Every little boy has two core needs. He has two basic questions. He's asking his father. And the questions are, do you love me? And do I have what it takes? And the way those questions got answered in your youth has shaped you into the man that you are today. And so a lot of the hesitation, or what you might call like the non-aggressive, the reluctance, I want to be more passive. I want to say, really? Really? So when you're playing chess, you like losing? Yeah.
Right.
No man likes losing.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's true.
does, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You like flunking your class? You like being looked over for promotion? You like being ignored? No man likes that. The problem is that the masculine soul gets wounded really young. And do I have what it takes is such a core question. And if that got wounded when you're young, it is going to create a hesitancy. Or guys try and overcompensate and they become the hyper-driven, hyper-perfectionistic. Winning is never enough, right? Starting one company isn't enough. I need to start 4, and having one wife isn't enough. I need to go cereal, because the search for validation is one of the core searches of the masculine
Sure.
journey.
I've done that.
Right? Yeah.
I feel that.
The search for validation. And we're all still doing it, by the way. I mean,
Sure.
Yeah.
you will do this till you die.
Yeah.
But if I just want to say, like, the warrior is in there, the warrior got wounded. And if it's turning up and I'm spending, 7 hours a day on my phone, and I'm just scrolling, or if it's turning up in checking out, go, oh, the passion's there. The masculine soul is the masculine soul. The passion's there. Something happened. Let's go back in your story and let's find out what happened, right? Somewhere along the way, your heart got shut down.
The story that you tell about your boys climbing at the Garden of the Gods, which is just down the road here in Colorado Springs. And I want to say, did you call him Tiger, your one son?
Tiger.
So, he was climbing one part and you're like, way to go, Tiger. When I read that part, I thought, oh my gosh. So I have 2 daughters and a little boy in the middle. And my little boy, I always call little buddy. Little buddy. Yeah, I see your facial expression. So now I've changed that, and I've been very intentional. I even told my beautiful bride, I said, hey, we've got to stop calling him little buddy. So now I call him, what's up, big guy? Every morning, hey, what's up, big guy? How you doing? And then I'm like, show me those muscles. And he likes,
nice.
He's 6. He just turned 6, and he's like flexing. So I think hopefully the wounding that I may have done by calling him little buddy is no longer going to be there. But anyhow, so Will, I know we want to come back to the beauty and
no, yeah, I just really want to appreciate what you're saying there, John, as far as like, that's, what gets me out of bed. I mean, this show really has it's created a lot of purpose in my life. I'm sure I speak for John too when I say that. I mean, it gets me out of bed because I have a battle I'm trying to fight is to bring this kind of information to more men, so we have a healthier, stronger, and we know when people are healthy and strong and on purpose, like things really begin to change in society because they change the man, it changes their family, and it continually changes throughout the community. I mean, this is the effect that you had by taking the risk and publishing this book, you know what I mean? And all the work you've done subsequently is because you took the purpose, you went forward. And look where we are today. We're talking about this exactly. The conundrum is still there. I mean, for sure. I mean, that's one thing about with Men Talking Mindfulness that we've done over 200 some episodes, and one of the highest ranking episodes for us is Finding Purpose. I mean, because it is still a massive void that is in kind of the masculine zeitgeist in our world right now. So let's go into so what flows along with that and I feel it, we all of us feel it here, is that sense of adventure. Like there is something about adventure that carries us forward. I know it definitely, like when I put something on the calendar, like, oh my God, like 2 more weeks. So until I do that thing. So what is it about adventure that helps to awaken the man's soul and their masculine and all the potential that they have within their masculine?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, let's go to little boys first, right? So
Okay.
you give the little guy a bike. It is not enough that he learns how to ride it.
Yeah,
Pretty
you gotta jump. You
soon,
gotta jump it.
come on, he's going to be doing little jumps. He's going to be
Yeah.
racing,
Wheelies.
the
Yeah.
other kids on the street. Yeah, he's going to be doing tricks. And what's really interesting is when he's doing those tricks, he really wants his dad to see.
Yep. Oh, 100%. My
Yeah,
son
right.
has
Very
done the
sure.
tricks, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Daddy, did you see that?"
Exactly.
Like, oh my gosh, no, I
Wow.
didn't.
Okay, so there's
Yeah.
the do I have what it takes thing
Yeah.
again, right?
There you go. Nice.
Adventure is a spiritual longing that nourishes the masculine soul. And again, it's different for different guys. Some guys are like, oh, just get me on a ski slope, get me on the double black diamonds. I come alive. Other guys are like, yeah, not so much. I'm not, but I love travel. And I love going overseas and exploring culture and that sort of thing. So that the adventure looks different for men. For some guys, it's starting a business, right? Yeah. And for other guys, it's triathlons. Yep. Far out. Okay. The thing is, it nourishes the soul. Adventure nourishes the soul. And the fascinating thing is, one of the number one reasons men have affairs is not for sex. It's for adventure.
Yeah.
They got bored.
Yeah. Right.
They got bored with their life. They're just dying inside, sitting in a cubicle, and something cute walks by, and you go, "Whoa, that's an adventure!"
Right.
What could that
Right.
be? Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, to what was Thoreau's thing?
Oh, the
Most men lead lives, right?
yeah. Oh shoot, what is the actual quote? Most men lives.
Quiet, desperate. Is that the one?
Quiet
Yep,
desperation.
quiet desperation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the masculine soul without adventure, right? He's got nothing that's energizing him. But the other thing is this, like, this is a fascinating thing. If you get some guys together around a fire or over dinner or something, having drinks together, you ask them, tell me about the best moments in your life. They're going to tell you stories of adventure. They're going to say, oh my gosh, my friend had this sailboat and we were offshore and this wind came up. We thought we were going to die. Honestly, you're going to hear, because that's when you feel most alive, right? It is when you're pushing the limits, when things are because adventure, Yvon Chouinard's famous line on adventure is, adventure starts when things go wrong.
I love that. Yeah, it's
right?
true.
Yeah, it is. Adventure starts when things go
Mhm.
wrong and your company's sideways or your kids are sideways. And well, here's what, because it is calling you out as a man. It's requiring you to step up, get bold, get brave, take action, right? I love it when stuff goes wrong. I'm a big wilderness guy. So, we do whitewater rafting and, we bow hunting and stuff like that. I love it when the stuff goes wrong because it calls something out of me that same day delivery and DoorDash doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Well, you get out of your comfort zone. When things go wrong, it's like you go, oh God. And it's also, I think what's also very masculine as well is we love to be problem solvers. I'm like, oh, and we got an adventure and a problem to solve. It's like, I'm totally alive, right?
There you
Like
go.
100%. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Again, kind of sticking along this adventure line and then coming back to the beauty piece. I know you and your wife have written a follow-on book for women. I have not read that. But what about for women who might be listening to our show? Because we have about 30% women listeners. Some of them might be like, well, I like adventure too. We had Kristen Ulmer on here at a super adventure skier. She craves fear. What about them? What about the women who may be listening?
Yeah, exactly. Women take a more relational approach to life. They tend to be more relationally dialed in. If you want to know, hey, what's going on in the family, don't ask the man. Ask the woman, right? Because she's gonna be tuned into the relational dynamics. So I want to point out a lot of their adventures are together. Let's go do something together. So my wife and some gals are going to go up to a ranch here and do some horseback riding as part of a kind of like a bonding thing they're going to do. They'd rather do it together than do it alone, right? So I think that's part of it. But yeah, the core desire for adventure is in women too. It's just going to look a little bit different in the way that they go about things, the way they problem solve. And the search for validation for a woman is not as strong as a driver as the search for belonging. And here's why. Because a man's worst fear is failure. Because it means you don't have what it takes. You suck.
Well, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Men fear failure like nothing else. Okay. They fear exposure as failures. Okay. Women fear abandonment and betrayal. It's a relational fear. It's a contextual fear, which, by the way, is awesome, like, because that helps keep the whole world oriented towards relationship and connection, right? George Gilder's famous line is, if it wasn't for women, men would just be naked nomads. Right?
We'd be stuck in Adam.
Yeah,
right?
but even as you're raising your kids, you think about the boy, he's going to fear failure more than the daughter is. The daughter's going to fear rejection. She's going to fear abandonment. And you can speak into those fears to build that strong emotional, bedrock in their souls. So as they move into adult life, he's not afraid of failure and she's not afraid of rejection because they've got that bedrock there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And you have anything more on adventure, Will, before we move to the beauty?
I mean, I just like, what about like a woman supporting a man's adventure or something? You know what I mean? Like, I like, or any woman that's listening, realizing like how important that is for a man, like to get out of the house, to do some fun shit. Like, any comments on that, or any suggestions, or maybe words of advice?
Yeah. You don't want to keep him on a leash, gals. I know it feels safe. I know it feels like the thing to do. If he starts dying inside, you're not going to like the man you're living with. If he's coming alive inside, you're going to enjoy the man you're living with. You got to let him adventure. You got to let him buy the motorcycle. Like,
I remember that line.
Yeah, take the leash off. Which you're doing it for control and for fear. And I understand that. But when he comes back from that 3-day, sailing thing with his buddies, he's going to be more alive.
Yeah.
And you're going to enjoy the fruit of that. Right. So you don't want to just chain him to the, to the front porch and say no further. Right?
Yeah. The old ball and chain, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'm the old ball and chain in my relationship right now. My wife was raised with 6 brothers, and they call her Sarge, and she is just full of adventure. I mean, this woman, I think she read Wild at Heart and is living it.
Right on.
But yeah,
as a woman, as an amazing woman,
an amazing.
She's
woman.
a great.
Yeah.
She's a great woman. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of women, then what we were describing at the very top of the show was a man needs a battle to fight. He needs an adventure to live, and he needs a beauty to love and to fight for. And again, it's just fascinating. I've been watching some of the World War II documentaries on the early air crews. You know how they would paint the beauty on all those B-52s? Yeah. Why is that? Why do we have cheerleaders in March Madness?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating thing. This isn't just about gender roles and sex or that sort of thing.
Point.
No, there's something in a man's soul that when the beauty is in the room, everything changes. In fact, okay, so if you want to instantly upscale the conversation of men, 5 guys are sitting around a table, have a woman walk into the room.
Exactly.
Okay.
Everything changes. Yeah,
it does.
Exactly.
Well,
the pecking order comes about even more. All of it. There's so much.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Will. Yeah, that's good. because it calls you up, right? It calls you up, and it calls you out of your small story into something bigger. And uh, I'm really big on the kind of the humanity story as it's recorded in Genesis 1. I think it's a fascinating, the opening chapters of the book of Genesis. It's fascinating. It's so fascinating because it says it is not good for man to be alone. He needs Eve. Adam needs Eve. And this is really mind-blowing stuff. The Hebrew, and I know I'm kind of a little bit of a Bible geek right here, but hang on. The Hebrew for Eve is life saver. It's Azor Genedgo is the Hebrew. Life saver. She's not limp, she's not passive, she's not just the damsel in distress. Like the idea is if she's not there, you're going to die. And that, I think that's really powerful. I think that's really true to men and true to the relationship. So some guys don't find that, and some guys have lost love in their life, and there is loneliness and there is heartache. But if we can at least just start with the core longing, you're not meant to do it alone, fellas.
Yeah. Well, I'm thank you, John, because I'm like I'm single and I feel that longing. I feel that loneliness, and I also feel there like that's a relationship with a great woman is going to bring me more forward, right? It's going to access more of my masculine, more of my potential, more of everything. Like you said, she's like like lifesaver, and like I guess in that case, like life giver. A woman, to a man, like I'm sure both of you could, to your spouses, like could really attribute like so much more life, so much more creativity, so much more abundance, because of the feminine energy and the bond that you guys have created.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and again, there's seasons of life where you will find yourself alone. And if you're in that situation, you need some pals, right? Like you got to have a couple guys in your life who they're in your foxhole with you, and you're looking out for each other and checking in and how's it going? You want to go get dinner, that kind of thing. Don't do it alone. But man, if love is not in your life right now, be open to it, please. Stay open to love, stay open to the relationship.
I love that. And, coming back to the old ball and chain, if you will, Will, what you were just saying about having a bride or somebody in your life that could bring some more adventure, more love into your soul, this type of thing. I would say that that's if you continue to fight for her. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't fight for her. Like you said, John, you've got to fight for that marriage. And if you're not fighting for the marriage, then you're going to look for that adventure and saving a damsel in distress elsewhere. And I couldn't help but smile also when you were talking about the cheerleaders. I ran track and cross country when I was growing up, and there was this one girl clearly on the girls team named Molly, and I had the biggest crush on her for years. And when it was just the guys running around the track, hey, we'd be running. But as soon as she stepped on the track, my chest would puff out. I'm like, okay, yep. I've got to run faster.
Look at my stride, baby. Look at my stride.
Anyway, I just couldn't help but think about that.
100%, guys. It's just true.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
All right. So we've got the adventure, we've got the battle, we've got the bride, or not the bride, but the beauty to save or pursue. So you talk about men reclaiming their soul, and we've covered quite a bit of that already. But what does that mean in today's world, and what gets awakened when they do?
Well, I think before we go there, because we do have to have a little bit of conversation about the current pressures and even the current social climate. But before that, every man is wounded. Every man carries wounds in his heart and soul. And the formational wounds tend to be when you are young, but not all of them. Not all of them. It may happen in your 20s. You may have been kicked out of grad school or something that was really, really wounding and really shaped you and shaped your identity. You can't ignore the wounded soul. You just can't. But most men do. Most men ignore it because to be wounded is to feel weak, and men hate feeling weak. To be wounded is to be in a place of need, and men hate. And it's the old never stop and ask for directions thing.
Right.
Right?
Thank goodness for GPS these days.
Oh my gosh, GPS rescued men from the shame of asking for directions.
Oh, God forbid. God
Yeah.
forbid.
But guys, like, just as you're thinking about, okay, what does my masculine journey look like? Part of it is forward looking, but part of it is looking into your story and the wounds that your soul still carries. Like, what's the anger all about? What's the fear all about? Why don't you want to get close to other guys? Why are you so furious at your dad? Why just your stuff, right? All your stuff, your compulsions, your addictions, because the addictions are just medication. It's never about the addiction. It has nothing, almost nothing to do about the porn. It's what are you trying to medicate? What is hurting inside that's your particular medication. There's going to come a point in your life where you're just going to have to do business with this. And so as we talk about masculine formation, the recovery of the masculine soul, dealing with the significant wounds in your life is unavoidable.
Right.
Because something's going to keep triggering it.
Right.
Until that thing is healed, right?
You talk about courage. You talk about going on an adventure, like, I mean, for real, like going deeper into your soul is definitely, it takes a lot of work. I mean, and that's some of the things I'm looking at now as I'm trying to find my beauty. It's like, oh, wait, like, what do I need to look at here? And what do I need to be doing in order to take the proper, or the best next step, for sure.
If you're a
I
beauty
really
out there
appreciate
listening, sorry, if you're a beauty out there listening, Will is here to save you. Let us know.
That's actually better.
Right here.
It doesn't make me sound desperate. Thank you. Okay, yes. Let me save you with a woman. Let me save you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you, brother.
No, I love you too. Thank you, John. I actually feel better now. Whew. I thought we were going to get dark there for a second. But awesome. Yeah,
no, I really appreciate you using the word courage, because courage is a really core masculine value.
That's in the heart.
Yeah. And it's in the courage to look at your brokenness. And then what goes with it, I almost forgot to mention this, is the poser, the way you're faking it.
Oh, yeah, this is a great part of the book.
Right? Because of our woundedness and because of the way the question, do I have what it takes, was, am I loved and do I have what it takes? The way that was handled in our life, most men are faking it. They lead with the false self, right? They lead with the really successful guy, or they lead with the athlete. They lead, if they're smart, they're gonna lead with that, and kind of use their intelligence to hide behind. And so the man, I'll tell you what, the liberation that comes when you deal with the false self, it's almost intoxicating. It's like, I have been living under this all my life, this false self, this way the way you handle stress, the way you handle intimacy, the way you handle criticism. You've got a false self that's out front there. Yeah. And until you face we call it the poser, until you face the poser and why you do it, which is back to the wounding, and the self-protection. The poser's there to self-protect. Till you face that guy, you're not going to find the real thing. I had a job in DC. I was crushing it. I mean, seriously, I was in White House meetings. I was having kind of the dream. And I was walking down the driveway of the West Wing one day, and this voice kind of asked me this question: "Are you enjoying this?" And my answer was, "No, not really." And it was like, dude, you're in the wrong line of work, man. Like, this is the pinnacle experience for the, the DC, kind of crowd, whatever. And you're not enjoying it. Well, it was a false self for me. It was a total pose. I was total poser. I
Well,
literally,
how would you show up in that poser if you don't mind embodying that poser again? Like, what was
yeah.
if you would, please, yeah.
So I would take my shirts to the cleaners and I would ask for extra starch.
I'm laughing because I've been there too, and now I see you wearing the Colorado shirt. That's I mean, you're a Colorado right there.
Yeah.
So I love it. You're
got
probably
starch
not
in my
showing up
shirt.
at the West Wing with that shirt on.
No, I would now though. I would.
Yeah, because you're authentic.
Yeah, because to be true, right? That's another way of saying it, is living out of trueness. So I would lead with intimidation because I was actually scared inside. And my boss actually took me to lunch one day and he says, "Do you know that everybody else in the office is intimidated by you?" I almost burst out laughing because I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I don't feel that way inside, but it was my fig leaf. It was my poser. It was my false self. It's the mask. It's the way I was trying to not be exposed, is the other way of saying it. The poser is designed to keep us from being exposed for what we fear. We fear we're not smart. We fear we're not, going to be able to handle the job. We feel not going to be able to handle the woman. And so we lead with the poser. Man, the poser is in the way, guys. You have got to name the false self. How are you doing that? How are you faking it? And you got to lay it down. And it's going to feel like one of the scariest things you've ever done. But true life is on the other side. I
remember in the book you talk about having another job offered to you that you were going to be killing it, and then you had kids and you had no way of paying for grad school, and you're like, well, the easy option is going after this job that's going to kind of quote unquote solve all the problems. But then you call them up and you're like, "Hey, no, this isn't the job that I want, or I'm not your guy." And then the next day, what did they call for your mortgage or something? And then the next day, a friend of yours called and said, "Hey, I want to pay for your college or your master's," I think it was. And that's faith right there. So you have to have faith, I mean, which comes to a huge chunk of what Wild at Heart is about. It's based on Christianity, or a large chunk of it is. Having faith in something to take those, leaps of faith, just that. Not so much a question there, more than just your faith is unshakable. And I love to see that, John.
Yeah. It wasn't. It's something you have to step into. You take small steps towards it. Right.
So maybe small steps of faith rather than leaps of faith, huh?
Yep. I think so. I think it's like any other faculty. You learn to ride a bike, you learn to drive a car. You have to learn to trust. And for those who are from faith traditions, there's a reason that God is called Father.
Wow. Yeah. Go deeper. Yeah. Great point.
Well, because you're not meant to do life alone. This isn't on your shoulders. You have a dad who loves you, and he's generous and kind, and he's got a story for you. He's got an adventure. He's got a battle for you. You're not meant to figure life out on your own. And what a breakthrough that can be.
That leads me to another question. For another percentage of our listeners, we don't have the demographics of who's Christian and who's not. But for those who may not be of Christian faith, what are your comments to them? What are your thoughts? And I'm sure they're going to get a lot from the book, but a lot of them are also going to be like, well, I can write off the Christian piece. What do you have to say to the non-Christian listeners?
Well, one of the most fascinating little social experiments of the 20th century was the 12-step recovery movement.
100%.
It is a fascinating story. Why did that thing work? It still is working, right?
Still. Brilliantly.
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing. Why does that work? And you can't go through the 12 steps without coming to some recognition of who are you serving? What's your higher power?
Yeah.
What's the bigger story?
Hmm.
Your own story is a really small story.
Yeah.
Right.
And when it's
Right.
all about you, that's a super small story. And
Yeah.
most guys are living in a real small story. I have. I think you do have to answer some of the life's big questions. Why am I here? And where is meaning? And pretty quickly, from my perspective, you're going to be at how in the world, how in the world did something so beautiful and intricate as the natural world just happen? This can't be accidental. Neil Postman's got this great article on it. And he was in New York. He was at the New York college there, and when he was writing, and he said, for most people to be given the answer, how did it all begin? With an accident. How will it all end? With an accident. And he says, the accidental life for most people is not worth living. It just doesn't, that doesn't satisfy. It doesn't meet the need of the human soul. So for those who are wondering, I say, there's a big, big difference, folks, between religion and having a relationship with God. There's a massive difference. So many weird things are done in the name of religion. So
Yeah.
much
Thanks for saying that.
bullshit.
Agree.
It's just
Hmm.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
Religion is
I'm
what
with you.
turns people off to God, not God.
Yes,
Right.
religion and people.
It's a,
Yes,
thanks for
Yeah,
saying
religious
that.
people.
absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
totally. So I would just say maybe separate those things and say, I love the beautiful world. I love the ocean. I love music. Where did that come from? Whose heart is that? Because I'd like to get to know that person.
So John, he's got the Wild at Heart fires all over the country for men, and I went to one a couple weeks ago, and we're sitting around the fire, and somebody said something that I don't know who they were quoting. I forget. You may actually know this, John, but he said, someone said, "I don't have enough faith to be an atheist." Meaning, right? Like, how did this all come to be? There's no way that this all just miraculously conjured itself up. And then, as far as the religion and knowing that there's a higher power, the difference between the two, I have a friend who says religion is sitting in church thinking about being in a boat fishing, whereas spirituality is sitting in a boat fishing thinking about God. I've always thought that was a great way of putting it and distinguishing the two, and not being put off of your own spiritual beliefs because of religion. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I really appreciate this discussion. Like, I grew up in the Catholic Church, very religious, very ceremonial. I was even an altar boy, for way too many years, and in that context, it just never really spoke to me. Like, I even asked my dad. Like, they'd always go to church. I stopped going to church in the Catholic faith, like, God, when I was in my 30s. And, I asked my dad as he was questioning, like, why, why don't you come to church? I'm like, well, Dad, do you leave church, like, spiritually awakened and spiritually, like, alive, and you, like, have, like, a greater mission or something like that? It's like, no. I'm like, well, like, I feel like I'm wasting my time if I'm not, going to, a spiritual based, religious faith and not coming out and feel some sort of spirit, so. But I really enjoy what you're saying as well. It's like, whether you call it Jesus or whatever, how many of gods, the way people describe God, it's that higher, there's something beyond us, that I think that we need to acknowledge. And when you acknowledge that, I feel like life gets a little bit more, it gets easier, and that's one thing. We had George Mumford on the show, who is like a great mindfulness coach. He was like the meditation teacher of like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. He talked about faith, and he really described faith as like just having trust that there is something going on than just your day-to-day monotony or your day-to-day experience. And I really appreciated that, because like there is, and that's what really that faith kind of carries us forward, but also leads us through in order to have that faith, like what's getting in the way of like us connecting to something more meaningful? Well, how does like the faith, how does that help us connect to that higher purpose? Because like you talked about serving, like can you talk about that for a moment, like serving a greater purpose, serving like God's vision for the world or something?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We can tie a couple threads together here because another way of defining what does masculinity look like in expression, right?
Great.
If a man
Yeah.
is becoming more wholehearted, if he is
Mm,
becoming more less of the poser and more true,
mm.
um, it is courage and strength on behalf of others. It's not narcissistic. It's not get the new car, take a killer trip, leave your wife for a trophy wife. It's not narcissistic. True masculinity, it is courage and strength on behalf of others, right? And that is what changes the world, right? That's what makes the world a better place. So if we're thinking about the power of love, I mean, you could ask any human being anywhere on the planet, what is one of the most greatest things in your life? What's the greatest force? And they would say it's love. It's love. It's being loved and having people to love, having work to love, having.
I've said it's on my wall, but it's true. I mean, but that's also deep inside us too. There's an energy to love, that really makes us whole, like you're talking about. Can you go a little bit further into that aspect of man? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were asking, so how does that hook up to meaning and how does that hook up to our spirituality? Well, um, you have a world of highly relational beings, okay? And all the work that they're doing now on attachment and attachment disorders and Bowlby's work on attachment theory. Why is solitary confinement a punishment? Right? Like why is it like the worst punishment? Okay, because we are highly relational beings. And my take on that is because you're made in the image of a highly relational being. Okay. Why is love such a powerful force? Well, because God is love. It's his heart, it's his soul, it's it's his jam, it's what he does, it's what motivates him, it's what sustains him. And so when you are hooking up to I I want to offer what I have on behalf of other people, you're stepping into a bigger story. You're stepping into meaning and purpose in that. And guess what? That's where God lives too. That's where he hangs out. He hangs out in loving people and helping.
Staying in the same kind of line of questioning, but coming back to the masculinity piece, with God, he put man here. He's put Eve here to save our lives, essentially. And I want to go to the masculine side of that, as we've talked through already. The father wound can often be there in saying the wrong things. You talked about some fathers who come in and see their son playing the piano and call him all sorts of derogatory names, and then that son never playing the piano again. On the other side of that, or I guess in line with that father, you've got people today like Andrew Tate out there saying that men need to be. I don't know if you're familiar with Andrew Tate there, John. Yeah, they need to be ultra masculine, like. Basically, that's the quote unquote toxic
ultra
masculinity.
poser. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly right. So you've got that side, and then you've got the other side in modern society saying, "Hey, little boy, stop playing with guns, stop playing with swords, stop fighting." Like, what do you have to say as far as like where's the middle ground? What's true for men? Because we're getting messages from both sides, and it's just confusing as all get out. Where's the middle ground? What's true?
Well, everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly.
is the answer to that question.
Right.
Because I just found myself re-saying what we were saying.
Yeah, I guess love is a piece.
Let me add some context if you don't mind. So it's like, we talk a lot about it on the show about like men being vulnerable, men being open, like being humble, being, compassionate. So, how does that fit into, this wild at heart, like man if you will. And what does that look like? Because I think those things are important. I think it is important to be vulnerable. I think it definitely is important to be compassionate, but it's not, we're so vulnerable, we're so compassionate that we become whatever, very much like a meek, weak man, like the men that you talk about in church that just go and then that just, I thought today of like what really like a meek man or like a very almost feminized man, if you will, is their handshake. You ever go, shake a man's hand is like a dead fish. And literally the priest that I would serve mass for when I was 12, 11, 13, like he would see everyone at the end of the church. You go to shake his hand. It was like nothing was there.
Yes.
There was nothing there.
Because
I was like,
nothing
wow.
is there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. It's a reflection.
I like the energy there, John.
Yeah, man.
I know, right?
It pisses me off,
It does. I feel bad for them. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, because we've caricatured that, right? Like the spiritual man is a soft man. It's warrior poets is the answer to the question. Warrior poets. Okay. Why do the samurai do flower arrangements?
Right.
Okay. You need both. You have a left, you have a left brain, and you have a right brain, guys. I mean, this, forgive the pun, it's a no-brainer. Okay. You have a left brain, you have a right brain. Left brain is logic, reason, decisive action. Okay. Left brain. Right brain is relational, intuitive, art, creativity. Literally half of your brain is given over to relational connection and half of your brain is given over to action. Okay. You need both. And passivity in either realm is not good, right? You get the guy who is just the athlete, just the warrior, the macho guy, the huge tires on his truck, and he's just one solid tattoo, That's a
Hey, John, I've got tattoos.
Hey, man.
I'm just kidding.
He's half a man. You just want to go, where's the other half?
Right.
Where's the poet to balance out the warrior? Keep the warrior, give me the poet. Give me the art, give me the creative, the intuitive, the compassionate, the relational. Your brain is literally designed for you to be a whole person.
Love that. It's that old saying, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? Yeah. And that warrior in the garden, they are that warrior poet, whereas the gardener in war is not necessarily.
It's going to get creamed.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's going to get creamed. He doesn't know how to be strong when strength is needed.
And we are at war, right? There's war, like, yes, there may be literal war physical war that we're in, but there's also war on our marriages. There's war on us as individuals. There's war for our soul. Whether you're religious or not, there are wars all the time that we need to fight. And if you're not some type of warrior, then you're going to, like you said, get creamed.
Well, no, I will. Well, we're like, okay, so somebody's been listening to this for almost an hour, and it's like, so where, like from all the work you've done with this book, with everything created on the book, and so many men that have plugged into this work, and then also have found their soul and have moved forward, like where are some very easy ways to start, like that for men, that for men to just kind of get on this path, or what are, please.
So another way of talking about the story of any man's life, it is the journey of initiation. The masculine soul is formed over time through initiation.
Yeah, I love this part. This is so important.
Okay,
yeah.
This is really important. What I would say, what are the simple steps? Well, what's undeveloped in you right now? Because that's your frontier. And that's where your initiation needs to take place. Where is it hard? Where's your heart? Because your heart is where you're being initiated, right? You're like, oh my gosh, my work is just killing me right now. Well, you're in a battle. What is needed? What is being called out of you? What needs to be formed in there? For some guys, it's the courage to quit.
Yeah.
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 I fucking did that. I
Yeah.
fucking did that, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Go ahead, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So if we just think of the masculine journey from boyhood to like robust masculinity, it's a journey of initiation. And guys are asking, okay, what about for me right now? I'd say, well, what is undeveloped in you? And in particular, that's why we were saying you got to heal the wounds, you got to deal with the poser kind of thing. But what's your frontier? If you got no male friends, that's your frontier. Why don't you have guy friends? You got to go get some guy friends.
Well, why are guy friends going to be helpful? Why is that going to be helpful? I mean, people, because that's one thing we see. It's like one of the biggest things that, that is driving this seemingly escalating like suicide problem that we have for men in this country is isolation. Right. So, yeah. So tell what about, why is that important?
Yeah. So I think it's Dan Siegel's work on the human brain to sit across from another human being and have them listen to you and look in your eyes heals the human brain. It literally transforms the structure of your brain. Okay. You need to be in the company of good men, and you need to be in the company of men who are, they're not just kind of, they got your back, but they're also calling you out, right? They're like, hey man, you seem really low in the water this week. What's up? What's with you? You seem really pissed. Why are you always pissed? How come you come to this group every week pissed? What is that? Like, you need that. You cannot, you can't look in a mirror and take the journey of initiation. You just can't. You've got to have dudes around you.
And those guys, hold you accountable, right? If you come back to that meeting every week and you're pissed for the same reason, they'll be like, okay, what are you doing about it? Right?
Exactly.
Like you said in the book,
exactly.
You don't want to be sitting in a circle just of a bunch of nice guys that are just going to be like, yeah, man, good job. It's guys who are going to hold your feet to the literal and figurative fire.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So what is reclaiming the man's soul? What does that do for, his relationships with his community, with his kids, with his spouse?
Yes. Yeah. Howard Thurman's famous line is, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs are men who have come alive. Okay. And what does it do for the people around you? Do you know that Carl Jung said that the greatest psychological effect on a child is the unlived life of their parent? If you are essentially sad, if you are essentially bored, if you are not in a bigger story, if you're not energized about anything, if you're not living for something, you're going to crush your kids with that. It's like, whoa, dad is a downer. Dad is half a man. Dad is not present, right? Yeah. So what's the benefit of wholeheartedness? Oh my gosh. It's that you get to fight for the hearts of others.
Yeah.
So it's not just the relationship itself, but it's literally their well-being that is benefiting.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. Do you know the number one predictor of teenage pregnancy in girls is the presence of a father who loves her? Because if she's got a dad who's pouring into that cup and he's saying, sweetheart, you hold out for the man who loves you. You don't go out with these bums. If she really knows that her dad delights in her, and I like the word delight, I delight in you. If you're a runner, I delight in that. If you're a musician, I delight in that. If he's not there, she's going to take that to boys. So yeah, this is about flourishing. This is about the people around you need you in order for them to flourish.
It's also, the heart is just such an amazing, it's an organ, but it's like, I feel like it's the first brain, in a lot of ways, like, because it has its own communication, its own way of, like, we can pick up our own electromagnetic frequency, like, so when my heart is dead and weak, like, I can feel that in people. That's the dead fish, the dead fish handshake, because it's just like, you just feel like, those kind of people are just like, subdued, or just like, very a half of or third or almost a tenth of who they can be. But when you have somebody with an active heart, right, and you are just come as you are with that wonderful, full, loving heart, you begin to wake up the hearts of other people. They can't even help it. They can't even, because they can't escape, because it goes beyond the brain, right into, I guess, like quite a limbic system, and right into the heart of other people. And if you're always broadcasting from that heart, because right, you have reclaimed your heart, because you have purpose, you have your beauty, and you're always accessing a sense of adventure, it's like you're going to wake that up in other men and other people. And yeah, I mean, it's like I love that's the heart. The more I study about the heart, like it's just it's like all here, man. It's all in, God's in the heart. Our relationships are in our heart, to ourselves and other people. The answers are in the heart, and you just got to slow down and sometimes sit with it. But or talk about it, or be around other people that have accessed their heart to wake up your heart. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the title of your book is Wild at Heart, and here we're talking about all the wildness of the heart. Well, so one of the reasons that we're here is my cousin and Jamie Walk. So he like I mentioned in the green room before the show, like when he found your book, I guess it's almost 10 years ago or something like that, he read the book back to back in 2 straight days, twice. He just read it back, and like his wife was like, "What are you doing reading this book?" He's like, "I can't put it down. I can't put it down." So it's obviously had a very profound impact in his life, and so profound that he is now. I talked to him like last week, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm talking to John Eldredge, man." He's like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" And he's passed out 92 copies of your book. I love that he has a count of them. I know. So please say hello to him. Would be great.
I
And
do.
yeah,
I do.
yeah. So his question is, it's like, so where do you find your strength to stay on purpose? And I think it's like, that's maybe directly to you, but also, how do you help other people stay on find their strength and continually find their purpose?
Hang on. I just
Stay on
can't
purpose.
I can't get past, he gave out 72 copies.
92.
92, brother. 92 copies.
You
Yeah.
need to give me his address, because I'm going to send him a letter. Okay.
Oh, amazing.
Wow. I thank you, John. Thank you. I will gladly do that for Jamie Walk. Once again, is my cousin out there doing this. So he's down in Texas. Yeah.
Wow. Like, that's such a big question. So where should I go with that? I'm just trying to think. We live in a world right now that is hostile to the human soul. So you know that using the internet has literally rewired your brain, and it's given you a shorter attention span. It's made you more agitated, more anxiety prone. So get off your screens. Are you kidding me? Get off your screens. My life is built around a very, very rich, very, very deep life in God. He's not a hobby to me. He's not a Sunday thing. Everything I love, he's in. I love water. I love rivers. I can't wait to get on them, in them, around them. I just need to be. I love the ocean. I love, love water. And I know that God is wooing my heart through rivers and through water. Everything I do, everything I'm about, loving people, fighting for people's hearts and their well-being, God is in that. And so we're kind of hooked up in a pretty deep partnership. And that is the source of life. That is the source of life. And so for me, the big killers are things like fame and success, right? Because that can pull me away from what is my center, right? And what is the core of my entire. So my whole life is organized around this. How I spend my mornings, how I spend my evenings, what I do with lunchtime, the mindfulness apps that I use, all of it, everything, prayer, all of it, adventure. It's all one thing. It's one thing, because it is deeply organically woven into an intimate relationship with the intimate one, right? Yeah, we're all intimate creatures. We're all looking for it. I don't think you can live well without it. It wouldn't be loving for me to give any other answer. It's not loving to say, well, just find a hobby that kind of makes you happy. It doesn't work. It's not a big enough story, and it's not a fountain of life. So to be a loving man, I need to say, to discover a life that is deeply rooted in an intimate relationship with God is the most extraordinary thing you can have. And to organize your life around it in a way that is nourishing and enriching. And okay, stuff like this. I got to just tell some stories.
Please
so
do.
I'm bow hunting elk in the wilderness in Colorado.
Amazing.
A couple years ago. I'm standing on the edge of this canyon, and there's a herd of elk down in this canyon. I know it. I can hear them. And I'm like, I know what these elk are going to do. They're going to come up into this meadow I'm in. I'm in the perfect location, but they don't. They bail out of this canyon and they head south. And then I call God Papa. And then Papa says to me, he says, get in the woods. So like, you can hear the voice of God, folks. He's very relational. He's probably talking to you all the time. You're just not listening. He says, get in the woods. I'm like, Papa, I love you. The elk are gone if you didn't notice.
I'm sure he knew.
Yeah. He's like, trust me, get in the woods.
You're fighting with God, John. I love it.
I know. Well, it's relational. It's relationship, right, folks. Yeah. It's none of this religious bullshit. Okay. So I go, look, really, the elk are gone. He's no, trust me, get in the woods. So I go bombing down in this canyon and I get in the woods. And in about 15 minutes, the entire herd, about 200 elk, come back into the canyon, and I am surrounded now. And those experiences of intimacy and beauty and adventure, this is what the human soul is made for. And so I'm just describing a life that is available, that's not creepy religious, but is deeply connected to the source of love and life. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, because it's relationship, and it's like, well, here's my question then too. So how, like, you've done a lot. How do you get in touch with that voice? Like, whether you want to, if you want Jesus, God, like other people might call it divine intelligence, the universe, like, what do you do in order to get in touch with that and create that relationship, but also like the relationship, but also to hear, to feel, to get to that trust, to get to that faith, to know, if you will.
It takes place with the heart. You were talking about the importance of the heart. It takes place with the heart. And if your heart is not well, it's going to be difficult. Okay. If your heart is shut down, it's like, you're trying to call somebody and they just won't pick up their phone. If your heart is dead, God's calling and you're not picking up the phone, because your heart is the engagement mechanism. So I'd say the recovery of the heart. I would also give you two wild things. First off, he has been pursuing you ever since you were a child in the things you love. He's in the things you love. What makes you uniquely you? Is it the ocean? Is it your garden? Is it coffee? Is it writing? Is it music? What is it? You just, when you get on your road bike in the morning and you're just cycling out, like, there's something about that moment. You go, I don't know how to describe it, but it's really special. Exactly. God is pursuing you in the things you love. So you find him there and you tune in to, oh, you were here all along. I just didn't recognize that this was you pursuing me, your love. That's a really good step.
Well, you mentioned two wild things, I think. Did you say two, or did I?
Yeah, I forgot what the other one was.
Well, clearly it's your next book. That's what it is. Yes. Yeah. So John, you have another book that's out now, the latest book, Experience Jesus Really, and that sounds like kind of what you were talking about there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Yes. So, because of internet life, because of the overdeveloped left brain approach, we have really destroyed what true spirituality could look like and what it feels like. And so I went back into the mystics, I went back into the ancient traditions to draw upon their life in God and to write a book that would help people recover this. And yeah, it's beautiful because after every chapter, there's a pause. It's just what you did at the top of the show. The book is built for the human soul, is to take a soul's pace. So I have you pause. I have you breathe, right? And we didn't even know this about each other before we got on today. Yeah. It's an invitation to experience Jesus without the religious goo and all of the weird stuff that's been put on him for centuries. Yeah, it's a spiritual father. I'm like a desert father writing to you out of the rich tradition to say there's another way to go about all this, folks. It's a whole lot more life.
To be honest, John, I when I started reading Wild at Heart and you started going, into Jesus, into the Bible, like my old Catholic self was like, oh, here we go again, like blah blah, just like, and it took me a few chapters to kind of understand the spirituality that's built in the passages that are where Jesus is speaking from, or the Bible, and the references you make in the book, because it's not a religious based thing. It's again this important relationship to something greater than you, or like an entity yourself, or something greater to yourself, and realize that we all are plugged, whether we want to realize it or not, we're already plugged into it anyway. So you might as well just go with the flow instead of trying to fight it.
Yeah, Jesus is the least religious person you're ever going to meet. He doesn't like that stuff at all.
Right.
If you read the gospel accounts of him, there's only one group of people he ever gets pissed at.
The Pharisees.
It's highly religious people.
Yeah.
Who are just anal.
The posers.
The poser religious. Yes.
Yeah.
The crushing stuff, man.
Don't do work on Sundays. How dare you heal that lady on the Sabbath?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes. That's right.
Insane.
She was bleeding.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also, sorry, real quick, while we're talking about Jesus, I also liked how you explained in the book, a lot of people kind of envision Jesus as, again, kind of this meek character. And I don't know if you use this terminology, but for some reason in my mind it's there. But you called him a badass. Like he's a warrior, right? I mean, like, yes, he was a carpenter, but he was also a warrior in the greatest term or greatest sense of the term. So I just wanted to touch on that. So you mentioned within Experience Jesus, really, there's a pause in between the chapters, and then you mentioned the app.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, this is a cool story. So we have a mindfulness app. It's free. It's very beautiful. It's very simple. We released this app a month before the COVID-19 pandemic. And it was extraordinary because people were anxious, people were locked down, people are losing jobs, they can't go to school, all that. What the Pause app teaches you to do, when you are doing the exhale in the breath, you say, let it go, let it go. That language is in the app. Okay, yeah. So we're on the same page here. But we began to build into so that you can do a 1 minute pause, and it'll program your phone to tell you twice a day, hey, time to pause and let it go. You can do a 3 minute, you can do a 5 minute. There's mindfulness. It's beautiful music. And then we began to build mental wellness programs into it. So there's a program called 30 Days to Resilience. And it's a beautiful morning and evening experience. We're just about to release a new program this month in the app. That's a 20-day experience, morning and evening. It's killer. We've got 750,000 downloads on it. People are loving this thing. Yeah. So it's called Pause. You can get it iPhone and Android free in the App Store.
I'm laughing now because I don't know if you've ever done any Wim Hof breathing, but it's the breath of fire, and Will and I are big fans. What is he, Will, as far as background? Is he Dutch? So he has this great meditation, Wim Hof breathing. At the end, he says, "Download our app. It's free. You'll like it." in this really strong Dutch accent.
It's good. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. You just reminded me of Wim Hof there. Yeah. All right, Will, that's all I got. Anything else?
John, I'm so grateful. No, I mean, this has been incredible. Our audience is really gonna love just this whole conversation has just been so great. I mean, just talking to you, John, I feel calmer. You know what I mean? Just like, cause you're just so deep into the work, you know, you're able to deliver it in such a beautiful way. You know, you have this wonderful sense of faith and you know, connection to God and you're on your purpose. And if more men like you and I think John and I are doing a good job living on purpose, like we can really just have a massive impact in our immediate life, in our community, in our town, in the world, you know. And that's why we do this work. You just happen to be 20 years ahead of us with this book, Wild at Heart. You know, we've been producing this show for 5 years, and really, it's just wonderful to talk about the heart, understand what it takes to unlock the heart and unleash this wonderful power that we have within us as men in order to just do great fucking things. So I mean, it's awesome. So this has been such
really
an honor,
good
John.
talking to you guys. What a rich conversation.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Okay, give me your brother's address, because I'm
it's my cousin. I will.
Your cousin's address.
Jamie Walk. Thank you for sending him a letter. Thank you.
Also, John, just to wrap it up, anything like if somebody wanted to reach out to you, find out more about your books, what's the best way for them to reach out?
wildatheart.org.
Easy enough. Boom.
Easy
right
enough.
there.
Boom.
Right there. Well, John, this has been phenomenal. We really appreciate you. And for our listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care, everyone.
Yeah. Thank everybody. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you walk away with some new tools and insights to guide you on your life journey. New episodes are being published every week, so please join us again for some meaningful discussion. For more information, please check out mentalkingmindfulness.com.